Time for another
Another
show.
week.
Another week. How y'all doing?
Good, man.
Good,
Good.
good.
Good,
Glad,
good.
as they used to say in the church, glad to be in the number.
Glad to be in the number.
Because if you're not in the number, the alternative is worse, right?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah,
True story.
Hey, this is a
True.
good topic tonight, I think. You know,
Yeah,
it's
for
something that
sure.
we all go through, and we were just talking before it started, and it's parenting, it's marriage, it's work, it's everyday life, right? So
Yeah.
y'all tell me what does it mean to be in the grindstone? What does a grindstone mean? What are we talking about when we talk about that?
first of all, where's
Man.
Devo?
I don't know where Devo is. He's sending the thing. I mean, what's he doing?
Put an APB out on him. Devo, you
Yeah,
taking pictures?
Devo, you're late. Where you at? So what does it
Man,
mean?
I think sometimes just being a man, being a dad on the grindstone. I think it's, not that moms don't, but since we're coming from our perspective, but man, just bills and late nights and sometimes being a disciplinarian, sometimes good dad, bad, or good cop, bad cop, work stress.
Yeah,
Like, I think it's just all of it. I think it's just life. I think life sometimes is just the grindstone with um, being a dad. That responsibility, I think um, that we all carry. I mean, I think we have to. It's kind of how we're built. It's how the good Lord built us, how He made us. But just to be able to shoulder all of that, I think is just a straight grind.
Yeah. Sometimes when you think about that word, you would almost say like it gives a bad rap when a grindstone because it's going to cause some kind of tension, pain. It's sharp, jagged in some cases. But I think about like corn and cornmeal, and you take and grind it down to make cornmeal. You end up actually having more and can do more with what you started with, but you
Ooh,
had to go through that refining process, add some tension, some pressure. But
oof.
that stalk that looked like it was big and nothing you could do with it, you now have cornmeal that you now have more that you can feed, that you can use as fuel or whatever. So the grindstone is not necessarily a bad thing, depending on the perspective, because if you go through it, you're going to end up being able to give more. You're going to be able to do more. More people will be touched by the price that you've paid to be refined, to be ground into something.
It's
yeah.
too early. It's 9:03. Eric's preaching already.
I know.
Woo!
That's right. Hey,
You see how
you're
much you're
right.
made of on the grindstone, Matt. I
yeah,
think you see how much you're made of, and you
yeah,
see how much you can be stretched, and how much you can how much sleep you could go without,
Yeah,
how much you could stretch food, how much you could stretch. Like, I think that's that. Just, and again, not that it's moms don't, women don't, but our perspective, it's it's just that. All right, how much you got? How far down can you actually dig to make sure you could still keep doing what you're supposed to do?
well,
yeah,
do you think men sometimes feel like we have to grind? I do. I felt like in the
Yeah,
past, like I got to hit the grind, man. I got to go. It's my responsibility. It's my
yeah,
responsibility to grind. Take care of my family. I got to go. And there's
yeah,
been times, and I'll talk about this later a little bit, but there's been times where I failed. I failed in the grind because I just thought things were going perfect, and I thought I was grinding, but I wasn't.
yeah,
Not like I needed to, and it caught up with me.
yeah.
You
yeah.
know.
But
True.
Josh said I'm already dropping bombs. I'm gonna keep it going because I'm gonna share things from other men that I have admiration for,
Yeah.
namely my pastor Lee Stokes here in Greensboro. But he talks a lot about not going out making a living, but living your making,
Yeah.
and living out a sense of purpose. And I will admit, like you, Matt, that the summary of my life has all been about grinding to
Yeah.
the degree that I was absentee for the better part of Ethan's life. And just not so much for Evan, because made some transitions when we moved here to North Carolina when he was born. But there was a lot of time that I was gone from Ethan's life and just feeling like you got to grind. One of our very first podcasts we talked about was ascending, with that juggling career and the grind in the career and things of that nature. And I was guilty of that. And so here in the last 2 years, in an entrepreneurial space, I've been able to prioritize the things that are important. And I've gotten deeper in my word, in my worship, and that's being able to sustain when it feels like funds are not coming in or calls are not coming in, but we're not really missing a beat in terms of the family and being able to spend time and spending more time with my family. It's like the trade swap was like, so I'm not less of a man because I'm not grinding. I appreciate the grind that I went through, but now it's like I feel like I'm living my making. I'm actually doing things that is more valuable to people outside of me, my family, hopefully this group, my church, and certain things that I do in terms of volunteering with the schools and stuff. And so now where it's not necessarily going to equate to dollars, it's equating to pouring into the kingdom, you're using your time, using your making to be a blessing to other people. And that's,
I think it goes to a different grind too. Like you said, like it doesn't necessarily go down to like maybe the job or the making dollars, but it grinds other ways. How can we better ourselves? How can we spend more time with the kids to help them with their self? And I think it's the grind. I don't think the grind ever changes, but it's not the grind that's making money as the job, but it's, hey, how can we pour into other people that grind? Or is it finding a hobby? Is it, spending more time with kids or spouse or friends or volunteering? I think it's that grind doesn't stop, but you're right. It doesn't, I think it's a different mindset to grind outside of something I think that pays you. Obviously our time is all valuable, but if you can grind doing something that doesn't monetarily pay you, but may pay you spiritually or emotionally or mentally, sometimes that it doesn't feel like the grind, but it's better equipping us for all the rest of the things. Just because you're not making money at it doesn't mean we're not grinding at it. And I think, like you said, you refine that and grind that down, and you're like, oh man, there's 24 hours in a day, and y'all know there Matt loves his sleep. I don't know about Eric. I don't love my sleep. Like I'll stretch like 20 out of the 24 hours. I'll figure out how to get some stuff done. Yeah. And I may feel tired. I may feel, it may be middle of the night working, but it's like, all right, how much of it was actually quote unquote making money on that grind, and how much of it was pouring into other people or turn around and pouring back into myself. And I think that's huge too. To your point, Eric.
Right. I think a lot of time people think the grind, like I'm grinding, man. I got to make things happen. I got to make money. I got to do that. It's not always that, I look at Debo about to come in here.
Debo.
Yeah, Debo's in the house. Well, he was in the house. Where'd he go?
Funny you say grinding. Like I saw something the other day, and I did a video. What's up, Debo? I did a video on it, and it kind of fits now. It's kind of funny, but if you peel it back, and the quote said, it's like the dentist told me that I was grinding in my sleep. Yeah. And I responded, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's that whole like, hey, how can we, we're always grinding somehow, but what is it? What are we grinding for? Is it a job? Is it our kids? Is it our spouse? Is it our significant other, our friends, our nonprofit? But the grind, I don't think, doesn't stop.
Yeah. Hey, Devo. What's up, brother?
What up, Devo?
What's up, peoples? How you doing?
We talking about the grind. All right, so we're gonna keep on talking about the grind, but I'm gonna put it out there. I got a new trick up my sleeve for this, Devo. You're gonna like this. Y'all ready? All right. So, and if you're watching, answer this question in the chat. Right?
Ooh.
What's one recent grindstone that we've gone through? What's one recent grind? And I kind of start. And we talked about grind could be, the money thing and all that. Like I find myself grinding a lot of times for money, right? Working hard so I can have money to do certain things. Yeah. And, you constantly get hit with things when you got kids in college, and not just college. I'm just talking about me personally, but, my daughter at UNC and my daughter at Georgetown, all those different things. And it's like parents weekend last weekend, or 2 weekends ago. It was fun. It was great. But man, it costs money, So I go out there and find ways to make some extra money so we can have a good time and have some flow, So I'm out there the week before and I'm umpired 11 baseball games. We talked about that last time. I'm going to do what I need to do to not feel the stress of whatever's going on, and sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm out here grinding, umpiring 11 baseball games, Why am I doing it? Because I love it or because I want that paycheck to hit, That's what I find myself doing sometimes. What about y'all?
But you know what, Matt, though, if you go back to who you are as a person, and even as we begin to meet and then reflect back on Mellow Mushroom, you're big about the moments.
Yeah.
And making memories. And if what you were talking about was what you put on Facebook with your family and the pictures that you had in, I mean, I didn't see nobody frowning.
No.
Everybody smiling, laughing, having a good time. And so you stay true to yourself. You created moments.
Matt was on the inside. He's like,
I'm standing in the back of my tiptoes trying to just get seen, But I said my wife is standing there. I think this is a great picture, right?
Yeah.
Because there's Tisha standing there and everybody's surrounding her. And I was like, girl, you look like the cartel boss up in that thing.
I was trying to figure out, I was like, are they at the Rams Club? That's somewhere deep in Chapel Hill. Looks like it.
That's the Carolina Inn, wasn't it?
That's the Carolina Inn right there.
Yes, sir.
Matt could have done half of those baseball games if he didn't stay at the Carolina Inn.
Yeah.
Right. He's doing it big.
That's why I was out there umpiring.
Yeah.
No, but I think money's always that grind. I mean, maybe that's my thought process, but I don't know that we ever have enough as men. And I say money not to have things, but you can never have enough to stop grinding, maybe is what I need to say. And sometimes that's a lot. And sometimes that's a little bit. Is it hey, I need to get through the bills to get to the beginning of the month, Dave Ramsey style, start with zero and go? Is it I need a plentiful? And you guys know I've had that, I was 23, 24 years old. And I told y'all I would worry and stress myself out when my bank account got below like 20K, my checking. And I'm like, so in a different mindset of that, like, hey, I was on the grind because I needed whatever that, is obviously a different mindset. But I think the grind of it to make money for time is what we all, that's what we want. And Eric and I, preach that, and Matt too, and Dee, but we all talk about like that is something that you want, just have the freedom to do what we want to do, whether it's give back, whether it's church, kids, travel, whatever it is. But I don't know that the grind ever changed. It probably never changed for me regardless. I mean, I could hit the lottery and would probably go to work the next day. Now, I probably would just go that one day, but
I wouldn't be on time when I did
right. I might be late, but I'm going to be there.
I would be sitting in Michigan right now.
Right. But I think that, and it's not about the amount. It's about, what does it, if you have that good head on your shoulders and that thought process of what is it that I need, not in abundance, but what is it that I need to maintain and keep me that grind? I mean, when I used to do mortgages, I'd hire, go buy a new car, go buy it, go buy a new house. And you guys probably know that, like, that makes you hungry. Like, you got to pay those bills. You're going to work 10 times harder until you start to figure all that stuff out. But I've had it and I've not had it and lost it and tried to get it. I think we've all dealt with that. So I don't know if that grind starts, but man, money is probably the biggest grindstone out there.
Yeah. And so, like, the older I get, the more I see that differently. One,
Feed your dog, man. Feed your dog.
I just got home.
He's hungry.
She just want to play.
Feed your dog, man.
Hey, anybody want a dog? You just got home. You jumping on the computer. We ain't played toss. None of that. So I'm over here wrestling this dog, and that's my grind right now. But no, seriously, like, one, I was just sitting there thinking, Josh, like, I don't know that we ever. I'm not sure that we ever have enough money when it comes to the grind. Like, I don't get like, Can we? Like, I don't like
Right.
as men, as hunters, as seekers, as conquerors, do we ever have enough? And
Right.
so, like, I always couch my stuff, my ish, as in the grind. But it wasn't until recently I just got checked, and it was like, look, you doing that grind because you want to do that grind. You're not doing the grind because we need you to grind.
Right.
And so, like, Eric, I don't know if you remember, but in my wedding, I've always talked about time, like the resource of time. Like, we can never get time back. You know, shouts out to Sean Clark. I don't know if you guys already did this yet, but our guy, man, our guy, 50, brother, gone. You know what I'm saying? And fulfilled so many different people's lives. Like, what would he do to get back some more time?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about someone who lived the highest of highs. He was a D1 college coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my book, I don't know that it gets much higher than that. Like, you held in all types of high esteem when it comes to me. You know what I'm saying? In my narrow perspective, right? And so, like, I think as men, as fathers, as husbands, as baby daddies, we gotta make sure that we like, I don't know, that we just gotta check and we gotta bounce that off of someone else to make sure what we call the grind is really grinding because it needs to be grounded. Because I think a lot of times we grind just because that's what we're supposed to do. Like, that's our role.
Do y'all
tradition.
ever feel like lazy may not is the right word, but maybe it is. Like, if we're not grinding, like, you're like, dang, like, I feel like maybe you feel like not adequate, maybe you feel not I don't even know what the word is to fill in the blank, but probably a bunch of emotions.
Valued, like, appreciated.
Grinding. Right. I feel like I feel that if I'm not grinding. All those things.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll take us down a rabbit hole if you let me, but there are times when I'm doing yard work. Like, I see, neighbors and others, outsourcing that, paying for that, whatever. And I'm like, I'm out here at 50 cutting the grass, hedges and all that. Well, I don't cut the grass. I do pay for that. But all the other hedges and all that other stuff, blowing leaves, all that stuff, I'm doing all of that stuff. But it's like, sometimes I'm like, that time could be spent with the family, 2 hours, 3 hours a pop outside and stuff. But then I get to thinking about, like, we need that time.
You need that time too.
Reset, center, have fun, a little sweat. Hey, that's a little exercise or whatnot. Erin has actually been a lot better now. Back in the days, she was like, really? 3 hours every week? This is what we're doing? Like, what are we doing? But now it's like she knows I need that time. I need to just, I'm either in my thoughts, praying, exercise, whatever the case may be. But these are things I need to do. And then I also look at the value of the money that I'm saving. That's a lot of money, to outsource all the things that you want to try to do and whatnot. When we built our house, you get them like starter plants. When you buy somebody's house and they had a whole bush, a whole garden, it's like, I got to keep this stuff up. Like, dang. So
just give me the rocks. Where's the rocks?
Pull all this stuff out. But no, some of that grind is just because I absolutely want to do something different than work. I just gotta do something different than work.
All right, well, check this out. Here, that leads us into this, and it's not just necessarily in the respect of, like you just said, Eric. Is it our spouse? Is it our family? Like, and what you said, Devo, is that grind for us, or is it for you personally? Is it for the family, or what are we doing? And or is it something that you resent sometimes? Like, why do I got to work so hard? Why can't I relax? Or do we let it strengthen us? For me, I think it's evolved over the years, right? For me, because I don't have, it's just me and Tisha at home, So, I, as a pilot, we travel, I'm on the road an average of 14 days a month flying. and leaves me 14 days at home, 14, 15 days in a month at home, depending on what month it is, Tisha don't want me sitting around the house. I don't want to be sitting around the house just doing nothing. I got to do something. And I look at Penske, the flying, as my grind. I look at Convene as my passion because I feel like I'm out here making a difference. So that strengthens me. You know, I love what I do with that. When I hit the road, I got to get into a focused mindset. Okay, let's go get flying. Let's be safe. Let's go do what you need to do. Go fly the aircraft, get it over with, get home so I can go do what I love. You know, that's really how it is for me. That's life for me. I think early on, Tisha would be like, God, all you do is work on, you know, Convene. Now she sees that it's important to me. Right. And it's important to us. And so it's evolved over the years, you know, especially since my kids have grown and been gone. There was a year back in the day when I had gone and had, you know, some stuff going on with the bad business partners that I had early on and everything. And I had a job as an air medical pilot at $69,000 a year. Well, my tax return from that company at the end of the year, that year said 159.9. Well, you only make 159.9 one way. You know what that is? Grind. You work. That's more overtime. I mean, more in overtime than I made for my salary working that year. And but it was where we were in life. It was a necessity. Braden had started it going to Guilford College. Thanks to Eric. No, I'm just kidding. But no, he was there, and we had bills to pay. So I hit the road, baby. I was on the grind.
Yeah, you better get him in state school. Better get him in state school.
I know, right? $3.99. But you know what? That stuff just develops habits, and then I see it passing it down now that I'm a dad. Because when I was working at the University of Georgia, I ain't proud of this, but I was working during the day, and then we would have study hall at night if it was your night to do study hall. And then one of my partners, he had put me on to this security gig. It was like, hey man, you do this 2 or 3 nights a week, get you some extra money. And it was like from Thursday to Sunday, you work in security. So I literally, if I was on my 3 nights, my Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I would leave work on Thursday. I would go grab my clothes for security, come back to the office, lay on the floor of my office, literally lay on the floor so that I could get up at like 12 in the morning, go to my security gig, leave at 6, go to the gym, work out, put my work clothes on. Friday morning, I'm back in the office. Then Friday night, I lay on the ground again in the office till I go 12 o'clock at night, go work my security till Saturday in the morning. And there were days where literally 72 hours go by where I didn't see my apartment. I was sleeping on the floor of my office long enough to get up at 11, 12 to work till 6 in the morning. Instead of going home and oversleep, I got to be at work at 8. I just go to the gym and work out. And I know now who I am. That was nothing but God sustaining me and giving me the energy to do that. But I was like, what was I doing that for? I wasn't married. I didn't have like crazy debt, but it was just like this whole thing about building habits, like, you know, just grinding, keep doing what you got to do. I met some of the coolest, you know, sorority chicks in Georgia because I was working security at these big old multi-million-dollar mansions. It was crazy, but they could come home at night and feel protected because they had this big black dude sitting in their pantry just waiting for them to come home. But
big black dude was sleeping on his floor too. You guys know that?
But it was like looking back on it, I'm like, that was some dumb stuff. Like, what was I doing? You know, why would you know? But that was the things that now, like, when Ethan and Evan are doing their work, they come home from school and they're like, Dad, can I go out and play? I'm like, nah, get your work done first. You get that work first, then go outside and play, because you got to develop habits. Yep, and they're teaching them how to grind. And it's, you know, Aaron at one point was like, heart. Them boys play. I mean, come on. What's it gonna hurt? I said it's gonna hurt when the grades come in. When the grades come in and they're not hitting the standard, now you're gonna be like, hey, you did it your way and let them play. Now I'm gonna do it my way and let them get that work in. And so the habits.
I got to say something on that. My wife drove that point home, and I promise you, that's why my kids were successful and they had such good study habits. You know, I would have been like, no, let's go out and play, man. We'll get to the homework and then No, my wife was, and that's why my kids have done well. I'm telling you, that habit right there, number one.
Yeah, that's good.
Can we not use the phraseology "big black dude waiting"? In the
Right.
just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Man,
We in 2025, baby.
dude, I can tell you some
You know who your
stories.
president is.
I could tell y'all some stories, man. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Like,
Stop. That's what
no. Good stuff.
No,
Good
we
stuff.
don't need that.
I got to see the coals that's in Athens, Clarke County built from the dirt to the building, sitting out at the entry point, because that was my station. I'd leave my job, my work, working with the athletes, and get ready to go to my security job, and I had to park right at the entrance. So the shop crew, when they would come in at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, they see me coming in. It's almost like, tag, you're it. Now it's time you to leave. But in the middle of wee hours of the morning, I had to make sure nobody turned in on the property, make sure they wasn't stealing junk and whatnot. If they didn't have a pass or whatever, I'm just sitting in my Honda Civic, just sitting in there, security, listening to TV. I actually got a lot of my work stuff done. I would put my car light on and see what kind of meetings I had the next day, what athletes I needed to meet with, sitting in the car, grinding.
Yeah, you better than me, because I'd have been looking at the back of my eyelids.
Had a flashlight. They didn't even give me a gun, not even a toy gun. But it was those things where I sit there when I was talking to the athletes at different times in my career. It was like, man, if you only knew, like, I sacrificed sleep to sit and literally watch buildings be built, for the time that I did it for 2.5 years. Like I said, I didn't get rich, but I got a lot of habits along the way to be able to impart on those students. Be like, look, man, stop being lazy. Get your work together. If you knew what I was doing, I would guilt them into getting stuff done. But it was like, look, man, you sleep when you sleep. You gotta have time to sleep. But this ain't the time.
Well,
You sleep when you did.
Right, sleep when you did. I think that our generation and the next generation underneath the one we're in now, I think it's work ethic, and I think we kind of are at another level lower than kind of our parents were. I think that's that everything gets so much easier and easier, but you just have very few people that still are on that grind that do what you're talking about, Eric. I mean, when I was doing mortgages, making good money. I was up loading FedEx trucks from 3 to 8 a.m.
Yeah. So
I'm loading that like legit. Like, I've fallen asleep so many times sitting in my car, like at a stoplight, like, beeping behind me. Cause I would, like 3:30 to 8. And then I would go home and shower 10 minutes away and then drive 40 minutes to do mortgages, like 9 to 8 p.m. Drive home, try to do family. I mean, you're with you, like my daughter, I mean, she'll be 20 in December. Like the first 2 years of her life, like I was grind 8 to 8, 3 a.m. to midnight. I'd do 4 hours of sleep. That's probably where my issues started. Where I couldn't sleep. But like, I remember sitting like in Harrisonburg, like near JMU, like sitting at a stoplight, like right in front of the sheets. And I remember like just getting the horn just blown at me. And I'm like, and I don't know how long I was asleep, but that grind of like, hey, if I'm awake, I need to, right. Like, I'm slobbering on myself and stuff, but that grind of being able to, that's why I said I feel like, and then fill in the blank. If I'm not doing something, you guys know I'm always somewhere or doing something. Very rarely do I, because if I sit, I go to sleep. Like I'll nap. Like I was napping before we got on here, but I had this headache right here. I'm like, man, wonder what the heck is going on. But if I stop, I'll stop you. You slow down. But man, the grind is just crazy, and I don't think it stops. Devo's right. It's not about the money per se, but it's just sometimes it's busyness of grind, but I think it's us as
self-fulfillment.
Yes. And you're talking about, does it strengthen us or do we resent it? I think, Matt, to answer that, there's a little bit of resentment there, especially if it's a spouse or two people. Because then I think as men, we need, or some of us need, like, hey, I'm doing this, and sometimes we don't feel appreciated. Since we're talking about dad life, don't feel appreciated for doing it because we're supposed to. And then it's like, man, nobody cares. Or they get older and you're like, dad's just the ATM. Or moms do it too, but it's like, dad, I need this. And we've talked about it too. Like, I'll text my kids, I'm like, man, what the heck's going on? But they go to mom for certain stuff. And it's like, man, am I underappreciated, or am I not appreciate it at all. And it's like, man, what if I just didn't do this? So that's just that mental thing of going, it's who I am. I don't necessarily need the thank you. I don't need the accolades. I don't need that. Is it nice to get? Absolutely. And I think that's what a good spouse or a good, partner does. But we also have to understand that's how the good Lord made us to grind and grind and grind. And he gives us those accolades.
And Matt, it's easy to resent the grind, but when you're a good storyteller, it's just for good theater, good comedy. Because even recalling the whole security thing, like I'm laughing now because the resentment piece would have been if I knew then what I know now about side hustle, make a little money, invested that extra money I was making instead of just burning it, I would have invested it much sooner and had done some things with the extra money. So the grind would have been more kind of it's building my future self or something of that nature. So I could sit there and resent it, but it just makes for good storytelling. I'm trying to figure out this legal term that when you do something like 20 years ago, they can't try you for it. Like now, what's that thing called?
Yeah.
That's some legal term. Like
statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations. I think my time is up because there was a time like in 2000.
But don't say it.
I didn't do anything illegal. I'm just saying.
Public opinion too.
No. I was working one place and started working in another place, but I was working 4 days for one place and 3 days for the other within the same week until I was established at the place I was going to be working. So I was like still maintaining 2 different places, but driving from one state to the next and just trying to make that thing happen because I didn't have the money to quit cold turkey where I was and where I was going. So I had to kind of make ends meet, and I got a mutual agreement in both places. So it was like, I'm in one state, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, leave Wednesday to go to the other state, work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, until I fully transitioned to where I ended up being. And so you can look at that and say, man, I resent all that extra grind that I had to do, but it's like, it was preparing me. Like I said, I'm a great storyteller now because I reflect on those things like, dude, you did some wild stuff, man. But it just prepared you for not taking things for granted. Or now imparting on my boys, not let them come up with excuses for why they can't push past the pain or push past the whatever. Because I'm just littered with just experiences that either I created a lot of drama that was unnecessary or was preparing for the stage in my life and being able to reflect, say, God, man, I'm glad you put me through those things to be able to tell my sons and others of either what not to do or to at least appreciate the journey if you're going to go through it and do some of those things.
Well, I find it like, again, I tell you, from the aviation side of 14 days a month, that's what we're scheduled in to fly, right? And then I find people complaining about things, money or things. And I'm just like, what are you doing then? What are you doing? Where's the other 14, 15, 16 days in your month? Get after it. So I don't have any sympathy for people. Like if you want to complain, then go do something. That's just always my mindset. But all right, next question.
Well, let me kind of push back on that just a tad, just because it's kind of like my current reality, vicariously through my little brother. Like, so I think there's sometimes that I think the grind becomes resentful, or we start to resent the grind when we can't make ends meet. Now, looking at the four of us, I think we've been very fortunate, right? And so like we've had that little extra ish where we kind of want to push things through, where we've either been set up in situations or we've had luck afforded to us, whatever the hell that means, right? Where we've been cast in different situations where we were able to succeed. Now, my little brother is here, and like, you want to talk about the grind? Like, he grinds it. Pardon my vernacular, but he definitely grinds it, right? And he makes sure that he puts in probably close to 100 hours a week, right? And I'm like, bruh, what you doing? Like, like, this ain't it. Whatever you doing, this ain't it. And so, like, for a lot of certain circumstances, probably due to his own being. He's put himself in this situation, but he grinds, but he still is not able to necessarily reap the benefits of it. And so there's some people who aren't as fortunate, and I hope that's the right term I'm using, as maybe we are, where we've been able to grind and to see the benefits, where everybody else grinds and may not be able to see the benefits right then and there. Because I do believe there's benefits to grinding. Like, I think that's the only way that you get ahead. But I say all that to say, I think that's where some of the resentment can kind of come into play. And but I don't know how to get out of that except for to grind. I'm still trying to figure this whole piece out. I don't know.
But I think you're right in that, because I mean, we've obviously all had friends probably that are like, man, I'm doing everything right and I'm barely keeping my head above water. Relationship, money, job, kids, like we're there. So they don't. I think what you're saying, they don't have a choice other than to grind.
Correct.
And I think that's where that resentment could come in, because I mean, we've talked to him. It's like, Josh, what else can I do? And that's all advice. I mean, Matt's given it to me. We've given it to each other. Like, hey, just pray and trust. Josh, I that's all I'm doing. I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything right. And I can't seem to, fill in the blank.
Sure.
But I think some people that's just the natural. For some people, grinding comes natural. They just do it. You have it. And then you have other people that don't have a choice but to do it. And then that resent comes in because they're not getting that break, I think is what you're saying, Debo. Whatever that break is, whether it's luck, right place, right time, or whatever, some chaos or the struggle. I get it. You're exactly right.
But let me ask you this, because you said it, Josh, like just pray and trust. Like, you can pray all day long. That's a good thing. But you also have to get out there and
you got to do it.
I mean, I think the big.
But here's the reason why I say that is because I talked to some people, and they're like, "Well, I keep praying about it. I keep asking God, and I keep praying." Well, I agree. You got to keep doing that, but you also got to, you got to put the work in.
Right. You got to get up off the couch.
I pray that I'm going to win the lottery. I was hoping to win that 1.5 billion a couple of weeks ago. No, that it's just not. You have to put the time. But the question here now is faith, prayer, perseverance. Where do they fit into all this?
I think they all go hand in hand every second of every day.
Yeah, they all fit in. My cousin passed away last May. And he's somebody I looked up to. He was a prophet, and just, I mean, deep in the word. One of the last conversations that Michael and I had, he said to me, cousin Eric, faith is the currency that moves God. And I was like, what? And he said it to me again, and it's so profound. But even at church, we talk, or pastor talks about faith, that you have to have faith. It's not about deeds and I'm gonna do good, get good. We're not in the Levitican law where we're living in the Old Testament where you had to follow these commandments. And even though the people wanted to have something to hold them by, and it's like, if I do good, I'm going to heaven. No, you're not. No, you're not. Sorry, a lot of people gonna get fooled by that. But it's belief. Belief one.
It's hot.
It's belief one.
Well, we get fooled once.
But the faith part is the part that comes with that perseverance, because for some situations it's long. We want the instant genie in the bottle, Jesus, but that ain't how that works all the time. We can't rub the Bible and say, okay, 3 wishes, 3 blessings, and let's keep it moving. There are some grinds, there's some delays that really test the person's real true faith and perseverance, of whether they believe what they read. If I think about my own personal situation, with Ethan, and then some work situations. They kind of are different, but they're about the same on the faith tip, because Erin got what would feel like a death sentence from her OB in North Carolina before we left to Delaware. Said, you never have kids. It was like the sea was dried up or whatever. But then we, reading about the blessing of Abraham, the promise that was given to him, he was Willie Limp. If you think about it, 100 years old, but still, hey.
I don't think I ever heard him described as
Willie Limp.
Eric, I started out with Eric dropping these big
knowledge. Now we're
nuggets,
talking about the
and then
limp
he
limp.
said big black dude, and then he said
standard?
limp, talking about Moses. Like, what are we doing tonight?
But Abraham was Willie,
Abraham.
But the thing is, hey,
Abraham was
he had
Dr.
the faith.
Ruth over here, Dr. Eric Ruth.
He had the faith. He had the faith to believe, and we are, we are direct descendants of that blessing. And so, faith is tough. It is more than just words. It's a standard by which you're going to have to live and know that you believe in what you either reading, how you living, and you know that some things are going to be instant. We want that supernatural to certain things. But then sometimes you're going to just grind. Ethan is my 6-year baby. It took us 6 years. And that might be not so long for people who have waited a lifetime, who maybe have tapped out and had to adopt and just said, this is my lot in life. But for us, 6 years was a long time. That's a lot of tears and whatnot. But we were still faithful to believe it was going to happen.
True.
And there were times with, wanting or coveting athletic director positions and feeling like I was ready, doors shut. No, you're not going to get it. No, it's not this time, not your time. You get it interim, then you don't get it full time. All these things I've been through. And it got to the point where I was like, Lord, hey, whatever you want from my life, let's roll. It's all good. If I'm not going to be number one, I'll be a good number two.
Yeah.
And you adjust and adapt and say, hey, if this faith walk is one where I can't get what I want, I'm so glad I get what I need.
Yeah.
And I think people think perseverance is like it's like up here, and then when you get there, everything's everything you just it's just steady. I think that's the big thing about perseverance. It's just steady all the time. Whether things are hard, whether things are easy, you've got to stay steady. That's that perseverance. When it's difficult, uncertain, slow, any of that stuff, it's just this steady effort to keep moving yourself forward despite whatever the heck is thrown at you. Committed to it, be resilient, patience, like all those things come to mind when you talk about perseverance. But man, that's I think those all have to go. I think those all have to go hand in hand. All three of those: faith, prayer, perseverance, or it doesn't. Two doesn't work without the third one. One doesn't work by itself. I think they have to be together, and you have to continue to do it. I mean, that's the toughest, my social media stuff. People are like, man, Josh, I'm going through, and Matt's that guy for me, and Matt's that guy for a lot of people. Like, hey, Matt, here's the advice. And I get it too on the social media side. It's like, hey, because I share this and in our faith and all those things. It's like, hey, I'm going through this. Can you pray? Absolutely, I'll pray. Hey, I'm going through this. It's a struggle. It's a grind. It's this, it's that. I'm like, hey, just steady. Just stay steady, stay consistent, keep praying, keep the faith, keep persevering. And that's sometimes people don't want to hear that, but they get tired. And I think that's where people quit. That's where people stop. And instead of reaching out or continuing to do what they're doing, people quit. And that's where it just kind of falls away. But you got to stay that course. Jody said it perfect. You got to stay the course.
Jody.
Yeah. Of course, and that's where the faith comes in, right?
Yeah.
And asking, God, if this is your will, I think that's important, is that we live in the time and we live in him, we know he has a divine plan for us. And if it's his will, it's going to get us there. But at the same time, we got to work at it. We just can't. I'm going to treat people well. Therefore, like you said, Eric, I'm going to treat people well. And if I treat people good, then I'm going to go to heaven. No, it's much more than that, much more than that we have to go into and stuff. So,
well, you got to get Captain.
Leave us on the edge. Where you go? Because you're about to say
David
something.
and
He's going to throw out some. I'm ready. Let's
who?
go.
Devo is ready.
Yeah.
Was that me? No. I was going to say, I I'm the least of the theologians.
Yeah.
But what I will
No.
That's not true.
That is not true.
Hey,
all y'all got a doctor
Steve
before
Harvey
or
say,
after your name. I think that'd
God's
be
still
me.
working on me. You know what I'm saying? But what I will say is, the good book says faith without works is dead. And so like that's spot on. Like, and I think that's where the grind comes in. Like, you know what? If I can't do nothing else, I can grind. Like, you know what I'm saying? Well, before I turned 50, brother used to have a strong back. And so like I could always put it in. But now I turned 50, I can't put it in quite as much. But
and y'all were talking about me and my phrases. Come on, now.
Lord, we just read Dr. Debo.
I'm just shocked. I couldn't get a response out fast enough. I was still like,
I used to break the backs when I was in my pre-50s, but then I can't get it in no more because my back is broken.
But I think. But I think
that was a bit
right. It's that.
Come on,
but
they with it.
But it's that whole working smarter, not harder. The grind doesn't stop. We just have figured out. Matt talks about all the time, failing forward. Like we figured out, we're still grinding. We just can do it a little bit more efficiently, or delegate, or sleep less, or eat less. Whatever it is, we're still grinding. We just do it a little bit, a little bit smarter, so we can still. Get it in, as Dr. Debo says.
Get it in. Hey, Jamie's statement is deep right there. Grind needs support. Can't grind without the family understanding.
That's 100%.
Yeah, because even Debo, like you said, you're going to end up asking, are you doing it because you wanted to do it, or if that's something that's going to be beneficial to the family. And without the support, because even Erin, I'm talking directly to Jamie now. My wife Erin, she told me after transitioning out of higher ed for 20 plus years, she was like, "You can do this thing, but we're going to determine after the second year coming up this in December if this was a hobby or if this was your final career, because we can't do hobby." You're gonna have to, because they told us, it takes about 3 years to build in this area. You're gonna have some wins along the way, but you don't really see the residual until about year 3. And so, if wifey's saying, "Hey, you can grind, but this grind ain't materializing," this was a hobby, and it's gonna be time to do something else.
The grind is real, right? But you have to love the grind. You have to love what you're
doing.
True. Like
you got to embrace the grind.
In the next couple of months, we're launching Convene 3.0, the third one, right? I started this Convene grind in 2015. So it's taken me 10 years, and what we're getting ready to launch is for real. It's great. It's amazing. It's gonna, I believe it's gonna change how things are done in the industry. There's not a doubt in my mind. But it's taken 10 years to get there. Sometimes my wife is like, "Hey, we getting there or not? What are we doing? You've put a lot of time and effort into this, but what are we doing?" But now she can see it as I show her, pictures of it. I show her what's going on. I show her this, this show and the things that we're doing, all the different people coming together, things that are happening. She's seeing that fruits of that labor. Well, think about it. How long did it take Apple? 10 years. How long did it take Nike? 10 years. How long did it take a lot of things out there? 10 years. I'm
fail after fail.
I'm right in line. 10 years. We're good to go. And I could have given up 1,000 times over.
Mm-hmm.
For real. I could have given up and quit and just been done with it. And you know what the reality of it is? 95% of the people out there would have quit by now.
Yep.
But I believe, and I have faith, and I truly believe that it is God's will, and that this is for him, and that this platform and this podcast and the things that we're doing, Convene's just a resource, but it's a resource for the professional dads and for us to bring men together. So it's been well worth the grind. I don't look at it as a grind. The grind is here flying airplanes all across the country for the last 9 days. But then I get to go home and do what I love.
We only talk twice today because of that.
As he stays in the Hyatt.
I'm at the Holiday Inn.
He at the hotel, motel, Holiday Inn.
Can I get room
I'm the
service,
diamond
please?
member at the Holiday Inn, dog.
Hey, he only stayed there 10 nights and he's
Yes,
a diamond member.
Hey, I want to tell y'all just how much this podcast, our friendship, it just holds me accountable, and I know we hold each other accountable when we go off and do things or whatever. But I can see just how influential this has been from day one, and just being tempered on how I parent. For example, so Ethan got he came home a couple of weeks ago and said, "Hey, there's this student ambassador. I want to get this, but now we have to vote, and there take potentially 3 boys in the group, 3 girls in the class, and then we got to put it to a vote." Long story short, he texted Aaron last Thursday and was like, "Hey, Mom, I got student ambassador," and so we celebrated on Friday, and then yesterday. His little brother came home snitching. Ethan said something to one of his neighbors, and so he was like, "No, don't." And I said, "Hey, whoa, tell me what he said." And so he told me what he said about the kid. So I pulled him over to the side and I said, "Ethan, I'm gonna need you to go back over there across the street and apologize to your friend, because you're a student ambassador now." And I said, on and off the court, in and out the school building, that title follows you wherever you go. And what you said wasn't really like an ambassador. Because if the parents or anybody goes back and calls the school and says, "Hey, there's this kid who's got this title as an ambassador that said this about my child," I don't think that's too ambassador-like,
Yeah.
because could strip you from that. Or the perception is, "Oh, he's a bully. You're not an ambassador." And, rather than using a belt like my dad would have done to me, it was just like, "Hey, man, look, you represent the Hart family. Wherever you go, you got this title for whatever it means to you, but it is a reflection of your mother and I. And you take your butt over there and first atone for what you said, but also realize you got to walk the walk." And so we went through some stuff he had in class, and I found that he had some stuff that he wasn't doing. And I told him last night, I said, "Hey, this is what I want you to do." I said, "Because I don't have to be in the school to know what's happening. You're talking too much. I want you to take your laptop out, take your books out, put your headphones on in the first 20 minutes before class starts, get your work done. And I promise you what will happen is 1 or 2 of your friends will look at you and be like, 'What you doing?' And you throw your hand up and be like, 'No, I got to get my work done, keep going.' Do you know this dude came home today and he said, 'Dad, I got to tell you something. I put my laptop out. I took my social studies book out. I got to work.' And one of my friends said, 'Ethan, what are you doing?' I threw the hand and I said, 'I got to get my work done.' And he took his laptop out and he started working. And he said 2 girls came by and said, 'What are you doing?' He said, 'Social studies.' He said, 'Cool.' And he said, 'Hey, Dad, I think by Friday, all the kids in the class are going to be studying.'
I want to hear about that for real.
Yeah. I said, so now you learn how to be an ambassador.
Yeah.
You're not perfect. You said something you weren't supposed to say. You went over there and you took care of that. Then you come in and you really start trying to focus on, I gotta be better. I've got to think differently, and 11's not too young to start thinking differently, do things differently, and implement that. And next thing you know, the ambassador is bringing other people to do stuff. I said, who's going to get the joy out of that? Your teacher, because she's going to say, now I don't have to tell people to stop talking. They're going to be watching this kid, and all these kids come in first thing in the morning, they're all doing work. And, and I told him, I said, I don't want this for pats on the back. I just want you to, I said, if I were to not be in your life, in your brother's life, in your mom's life for tragedy, or just it wasn't my time, the one thing I want to be remembered by is that I helped you boys develop habits.
Yeah.
Habits that you can, that you can get stuff done without daddy having to tell you all the time. That you just top of mind say, I need to get this done. And I think this really comes back to just the what professional dads truly means to me. This relationship, you guys, what we're doing and launching for people that are watching and listening, it's not like witch's brew, a magic potion. It's just talking through some challenges we've had, things we've experienced, applying it, come back and embracing it, celebrating it, and just doing it again, rinse and repeat.
Yeah. I think we all face these challenges, right? And I think it's good to talk about it, getting the different perspectives. And I think that's what we're here for. All right, we're going to end it with this. We got like 6 minutes to go. but everybody take their turn, and how do you balance the grind with fatherhood roles? So who wants to hit it first?
I'll go. I said I think I have learned to be a little bit more communicative. I have, we moved this to, Tuesday nights, and I was trying to stare at the screen, and Hudson was like right here. I'm like, fist bump over here. But I think, just being open and honest. Like, I think a lot of people have jobs where they either, they're out and about, they're working all the time. Somebody's always on that grind, at least in our world. I think we always, like, he knows I'm always working, whether I'm doing a video, whether I'm doing some kind of content, or whether I'm insurance or on a podcast, whatever it is. I think he knows, but I think it's important to let them know what you're doing. I think, when we were all growing up, if mom or dad were working, we weren't allowed to say nothing. We know, like, like you didn't walk into the room. It was like, go in there and do your thing.
Speak when spoken to.
Exactly. I didn't speak to you. Like, don't do it. But I think now it's important to open up that window of like, hey, look, I got my podcast at 9. I dropped him off at practice. I went live, do my podcast at 9. All of us digress. Probably go back on and do the live. But a lot of things are done just communicating that to them so that they see it. And I think that's the biggest thing for me that I've learned is that, but also when it's their time, is give them their time. That's one of the things that I have learned. I was on, and real quick, I was on live the other day, and one of Hudson's teammates was on my live, and he's like, are you coming to the game today? Can you go live and broadcast our game to TikTok? And I'm like, nah, like my people on TikTok did not care about your soccer game. But in his brain, it's like, hey, let's get that out there. I'm like, you know what? Like, I'll do a post or whatever, but I want to be super, and I'm not always the best at it, and I'm working at it, is being in that moment when I have him. So communicating what I'm doing, but being in it when I'm there. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, because he knows. If he knows if I'm there, I'm there. And if I'm on the grind, I'm on the grind. So I'd say communicate for sure.
That's cool. All right, we got 3 minutes left now.
Yeah, so let me just piggyback on that, because I'm right on with you, Josh. I think it's mostly important to make sure that we communicate exactly what the grind is and why we're doing the grind. I also think when it comes to the fatherhood piece, that when it comes to spending time with our kids, that we check in with them and ask them or see what it is that they want to do. A lot of times I try to loop my kids into my events, and I think that's where I kind of missed the mark. I think I need to be more oriented towards things that they find of value and things that they want to do and things that they find as important. I think that's where the rubber meets the road. And then again, just explain the grind. Like, because I think a lot of times we think that we're grinding because we need the grind, and one of your significant others, child, wife, spouse, girlfriend, hoochie mama, may just decide that, hey, we don't need that grind anymore. So therefore we like, you're good. I don't need you to grind like this. And that can be freeing as well.
Real quickly, mine is just, I probably take a different approach. I don't talk to my kids about my work. I don't talk to them about the grind. They see me leave. I'm home by the time they come home from school. They don't know that I called 20 or 30 people and I may only talk to 2. The rest of them, I'm talking to cell phones, voicemails. It's crazy because I have to call so many people and I talk to more people's voicemails than I actually talk to them. I'm not bringing that home. They don't need to know that grind. They know what daddy does, but it's like by the time they see me in that truck's in the driveway, it's like, let's go, daddy time. And so for me, the grind, I keep it away from them.
Yeah, I think, real quick for me, I think knowing when to turn it on and off. I'm going to grind. That's just me. That's my nature. I ain't stopping. I can't turn it off. I love what I do, but I also know that if I'm going to grind, that I got to turn it off. I got to make myself present when it's time to be present. Yeah. When my phone rings, if I can, I'm going to say, if I'm talking to you guys and we're just on a casual Zoom call, I'm going to be like, hold on, my son's calling. That happened today. I said, hold on, my son's calling, because my son doesn't call unless there's a reason for him to call.
Call me.
Yeah. Yeah. And so my point is like I need to know when to turn it on and off, right? And I need to know when, okay, because if I'm grinding, just because I turn it off for a day or an afternoon or an hour or whatever it's required of me, don't mean I'm stopping. I'm gonna get right back into the grind the first chance I get. And so it's just turning off and being present. And when it's time to be present, it's time to be present. Until she gets home from work and she wants to tell me about her day, that's not the time for me to be looking at my phone thinking about what's going on. That's time for me to put my phone down and listen and listen. And that hard thing that men have trouble doing, listen, be present. So that's my thing. Be present, man. Find a way to be present and get back to your grind. Isn't going anywhere. Just temper your grind.
No.
True.
All right. Hey, that's a good one. I enjoyed it. And let me tell everybody what the next one's going to be, because I got right here in an email I sent y'all. But the next one is Legacy Under Fire. That's what next Tuesday is. We're going to talk about Legacy Under Fire. Man, we always talk about building a legacy. That's what we want to do. So sometimes under fire, and how can we handle that? But I love this, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So glad we got on, did it again tonight. I think it's great. Some people are recognizing. I was on with a friend of mine today. Hopefully one day he can come on with us. But really great guy. It was a master sergeant in the Marine Corps, and he's in Dallas, Texas, and he's watched us. And I didn't know he's watching.
That's awesome.
He doesn't watch live, but he's watching us. Great Christian man that we need to keep doing what we're doing. So I appreciate y'all.
Yeah. And I think we're probably all. I'm getting them too. Just like Matt said, DMs, text, whatever. Like, hey, last night was awesome. Tonight was awesome. Hey, I watched it back. I think that's amazing, which means we're doing what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Here we go. Join that and join that. So join this Professional Dads Convene group. Hit that QR code. I should have put it on a little earlier.
Let's go.
Join Professional Dad on Facebook. Right. Yep. So,
and if you join next week, the two brothers won't be.
We're gonna switch it around next week. Y'all going to the top. We'll be on the bottom. All right.
Just saying.
Retribution, baby. Retribution. Let's get it.
Depends on if Eric's gonna be in the closet.
I don't want no trouble. I don't want no trouble. I got diverse clients. I don't want no trouble. At the end of the day, money's green.
Money is green. Money green and blood is red. Let's go.
That's it. I love it. All right, everybody have a good night. We'll see you next Tuesday night.
Peace.
Later.
Holla.